Welcome to the info session. We in the European Food Safety Authority are pleased to present a new initiative to support small and medium-sized enterprises or SMEs working in the area of novel foods. For your convenience, we have organized the content into distinct sections, allowing you to navigate to the topics of greatest interest. Additionally, please note that the video description provides links to all resources referenced during this presentation. Under EU regulations, novel foods represents products that have not been significantly consumed in the EU before May 1997. Examples include krill oil, edible insects, and nanotechnology-produced foods. We have a rigorous system in place to ensure that the novel foods available at the market are safe for human consumption. So, to put your product on the market, you will need the authorization of the European Commission, following EFSA's scientific assessment. While this system is essential for protecting public health, it can be daunting for SMEs having limited resources and expertise. That's why we have launched this initiative, to provide SMEs with advice before they submit an application for the authorization of a novel food. Over the next 15 minutes, we will explain the details of this initiative, how SMEs can benefit from it, what kind of support do we offer, and how to participate in the call. If you have any questions on this call, please don't hesitate to reach us through the Ask a Question service. We are here to help. Our goal is to provide SMEs with advice on the relevant rules and required content for a successful application. We will also address any specific questions you may have during a dedicated meeting. The call is open to SMEs at the early stages of developing their novel food product, as well as those that are closer to submitting their application. Please note that all information submitted to EFSA will be treated as confidential, and only a succinct summary of the advice provided will be made publicly available. With this call, we aim to reduce the duration of the intake phase of the application, and consequently, to speed up EFSA's overall assessment. The deadline to submit an expression of interest is 31st October 2024. The meetings between EFSA staff and potential applicants will take place from mid-July to mid-December 2024 and will be organized preferably online. We encourage all eligible SMEs to take advantage of this opportunity and submit their expression of interest well before the deadline. Early briefing meetings and pre-submission meetings. The support to the Novel Food SMEs will be channeled via the General Pre-Submission Advice Service that provides potential applicants with the opportunity to receive advice on the rules applicable to and the content required for an application by answering to specific questions they may have. It's important to note that EFSA's advice has its limits. Specifically, we cannot provide advice on study design, developing and managing a study, or hypotheses to be tested, beyond what is stated in the corresponding guidance documents. Additionally, EFSA cannot review or validate any study protocols before an application is submitted. Please pay attention to the question and answer section that closes this info session, where some practical examples of questions within the scope and out of the scope are provided. To support SMEs in their novel food application process, EFSA is offering two types of meetings: early briefing meetings and pre-submission meetings. Early briefing meetings are designed for SMEs at the early stages of developing their novel food product. EFSA will reply to the questions that they might have even before starting to prepare the application. And the SME will also be advised on the role of risk managers and the role of EFSA risk assessor, where to find and consult the sectorial regulation, the availability of and importance of the administrative and scientific guidance documents and checklists, the obligation to notify certain studies before their starting date, the use of the relevant IT platforms, and other services available to support applicants through the life cycle of an application. Pre-submission meetings, on the other hand, are intended for SME applicants who are closer to submit their novel food application. Here, we will highlight common shortcomings frequently identified during the suitability check of a novel food application and provide guidelines on how to avoid them. Please note that EFSA will neither review nor pre-assess your application, nor provide specific feedback on how to improve it, given that those aspects fall outside the scope of the GPSA service. To be eligible, your expression of interest must meet the following requirements. General eligibility requirements. The potential applicants must be aiming to submit an application for pre-market authorization of a novel food in the coming months or years. The potential applicant must qualify as a small or medium-sized enterprise, as defined by the EU Recommendation 2003/361. The SME must have no or limited experience in submitting novel food applications to the European Commission, and the question submitted must be in the scope of the GPSA service. In case of requesting an early briefing meeting, there are 3 additional requirements to be considered. First, the development of the novel food is still in progress. Second, few or no studies supporting the application have been performed. And third, the submission of the application is not expected within the next 12 months. In case of requesting a pre-submission meeting, the specific requirements are that the application is almost complete and its submission is expected within the next 12 months. Is any of these criteria not clear enough? Please do not hesitate to contact us via the Ask a Question service. Submission and appraisal of expression of interest. The deadline to submit the expressions of interest is 31st October 2024. The expressions must be submitted via a specific form created in EU Survey, and you don't need to have a registered EC account to fill in the survey. Just follow the link provided and complete the requested information. Please pay attention to this short demo. This is a short demo on how to fill in your expression of interest in the EU survey form. First, you will find some general information on the call, and on the right side, the links to the call web page, the call text, and the Ask a Question service, in case you need to submit that as any doubts you have when filling in the form. Then, you have to fill in the information on the potential applicant, stating if they are an SME or not, and also if you are submitting the expression of interest as the potential applicant, or in case you are a consultancy firm or an industry association, if you are doing it on behalf of the potential applicant. Later on, fill in the name of the company that will act as potential applicant, its country, and the name of the contact person, plus 2 different email addresses. Then let us know about your novel food by introducing a brief description of the product and its conditions of use. Also, we need to know what is the country where the novel food will be placed for the first time in the EU market, and an estimated date on when do you plan to submit the application. Finally, inform us about the type of support that you are requesting. First, provide the list of questions that you have for the preparation of your novel food application. Then, let us know what is the type of service that you are requesting, an early briefing meeting, or a pre-submission meeting. And finally, your preferred month to set the meeting with us and receive the advice. Finally, click in the Submit button and we will start with the appraisal immediately. Since this call is not a competition, we will start the appraisal of your expression of interest as soon as we receive it. We plan to finalize the process by November 2024. We will appraise your expression of interest based on the information you provide, as well as any relevant details we find in other sources, such as Collect EFSA and Open EFSA portals, ESFC submission portal, and EFSA journal. We might also consult your latest publicly available annual accounts to verify the SME status of the company. If we need any clarification, we will reach out via email to request more information. We will check each expression of interest against the eligibility requirements and provide our appraisal in 15 days upon submission. Once the appraisal of your expression of interest is ready, you will be informed of the final results. There are two possible outcomes: eligible expression of interest and non-eligible expression of interest. In case your expression of interest is declared eligible, you will be provided with instructions on how and when to submit a request for a GPSA meeting. That can be an early briefing meeting or a pre-submission meeting. In case your expression of interest is declared non-eligible, you will receive a statement indicating which eligibility requirements were not fulfilled, and if applicable, you will be offered alternative EFSA services that may be able to address your questions or concerns, or directed to contact the relevant risk managers, such as the European Commission or the member states. Provision of advice and feedback to EFSA. Early briefing meetings and pre-submission meetings will take place between 15th of July and 12th of December 2024. Exceptional cases may be scheduled after that date. Online meetings are preferred for logistic reasons, and typically they will last 45 to 60 minutes and will be attended by 2 to 3 people representing the applicant and 2 to 3 members of the EFSA staff. After the meeting, EFSA will create a summary of the advice and share it with the applicant without any personal or confidential information. The detailed list of questions and the reply provided by EFSA will be kept also confidential. EFSA will make this summary publicly available in Open EFSA portal alongside the non-confidential version of your application dossier once it is deemed valid by European Commission. Applicants will be also invited to complete an anonymous survey, providing feedback on the call for expression of interest and on the advice received, helping us to further improve these services. Your feedback is important to us. To conclude, let me highlight the key messages of this info session. First, EFSA is launching a call for expressions of interest to specifically support the SMEs working in the area of novel foods, ensuring a confidential treatment to the information received about your product and also to your list of questions. Second, the call offered Novel Food SMEs the opportunity to access to the advice on the preparation of novel food applications in form of a meeting with EFSA staff via the General Pre-Submission Advice Service. Early briefing meetings are for SMEs at the early stages of developing a novel food product, while pre-submission meetings are for SMEs almost ready to submit the application. Third, the deadline for submitting your expression of interest is 31st October 2024. The meetings will take place from mid-July to mid-December this year. And fourth, in case your expression of interest is non-eligible, you will be offered alternative services that may be able to address your questions as well, or directed to contact the risk managers if applicable. Of course, an appraisal concluding that the expression of interest is non-eligible in the context of this call doesn't mean that the applicant cannot receive EFSA support via other services in the future, and doesn't have any impact in the assessment of your future novel food application. Finally, let's move to the question and answer section, where we will be replying to some questions received in advance.
Questions and answer session. Question 1. Can you provide some examples of questions that are within the scope of the service and some that are out of the scope? The answer to this question is that, as indicated before, EFSA can provide advice explaining the requirements contained in rules, guidance documents, and guidelines, and also general explanation on study design if addressed in the guidance documents. On screen, you can see some examples. Now, let's move to the second question. On the contrary, EFSA cannot provide advice in questions that are in the remit of the risk managers, or if the list of questions is missing and the information is incomplete. EFSA cannot either pre-validate the studies designed by the applicant nor pre-assess the results, as shown in the examples on the screen. The third question is: if a question raised by the potential applicant in its expression of interest does not fall in the scope of this exercise, will EFSA discard only this question or the expression of interest entirely? The answer to this question is the following. The fact that some of the questions are out of the scope of the service does not mean that the expression of interest is non-eligible. If at least one of the questions submitted is within the scope, this eligibility requirement is fulfilled. On the contrary, the requirement is not fulfilled in case all the questions submitted are out of the scope, leading to the conclusion that the expression of interest is non-eligible. Now, we are continuing with the fourth question, which is: will EFSA provide any support with the questions that are out of scope? The answer to this question is certainly. If applicable, the potential applicant will be redirected to other EFSA services that may fit their needs. For example, the dedicated support to SMEs on the use of IT tools for preparing an application, or indications to contact the risk managers like the European Commission and the Member States. The fifth question is: can other companies have access to the questions I submitted and the advice provided by EFSA in the context of this call? The answer to this question is that the only information that EFSA will disclose to the public is a succinct summary of the advice. The summary of the advice will not contain any personal, confidential, or sensitive information. As foreseen by the legislation, the summary is made publicly available together with the non-confidential version of the application dossier once it is submitted by the applicant and declared valid by the European Commission. That's all the time we have for this question and answer session. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your interest in the call of expression of interest and hope you found the session informative. If you have any further questions or need clarification on any aspect of the call, please do not hesitate to reach out to us through the Ask a Question service, accessible via the link in this video's description. Thank you again for your participation.